Peachtree Corners is quickly becoming one of Atlanta's best suburbs and maybe even one of Atlanta's best kept secrets. So many people are moving here year after year, so let's talk about what makes this city so popular. The first thing is the amount of tech focus that you see in this city. There are so many different parts of the area that are focused on tech. There's a big tech industry here in Peachtree Corners. They have the Curiosity Lab, which is right off of Technology Parkway. They've nicknamed this the Living Lab, and so they do a lot of research for like autonomous vehicles and like smart city technology. This is kind of the main focus of the Curiosity Lab. Also, they have the Atlanta Tech Center also on Technology Parkway. So certainly a lot of tech employers also in this area. If you're looking for an area where you can live and work very close by and have those kinds of tech employment opportunities, this is definitely a great city for that. Also, the city is equipped with lots of 5G networks, and so this is something that kind of stands out about Peachtree Corners. They've done a great job with the 5G infrastructure. I know some people are fans of that, some people are not so much fans of that, but if you do like that idea, then this is definitely a great city for that. And overall, this kind of forward-thinking tech focus that they have in Peachtree Corners really sets this city apart. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Atlanta Suburban Living, and we put out videos every week about living in Atlanta and the suburbs around Atlanta. Another reason why so many people are moving to Peachtree Corners is because of their downtown area. Right off of Peachtree Parkway, on one side of the road, they've got this downtown area with lots of mom and pop shop restaurants there. They also have a big park in the kind of at the edge of the downtown area playground. My kids love playing in this area. Lots of families love playing in this area. It's a very family friendly city as well. And then across the street from Peachtree Parkway, they have the Forum, which is more shopping focused. They have lots of stores there, lots of shopping, High Country Outfitters, Lululemon, Pottery Barn, Barnes and Noble. These are the kinds of stores that you see across the street in the Forum. And so in general, this is one of the things that makes Peachtree Corners so popular. Many people love to visit this part of the town. Another big reason why so many people are moving here is that it's so similar to Alpharetta and Johns Creek, and it's kind of a great alternative to those cities. If you plan on buying a home in Peachtree Corners, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. I'm a local real estate agent here in the Atlanta area, and I'd be happy to help with your home buying needs. Even if you just have a question about what it's like to buy a home here, happy to help. But Peachtree Corners is very close to Alpharetta and Johns Creek, and so very often people who are considering those cities also expand their search to Peachtree Corners. It has a very similar vibe, and so as Alpharetta and Johns Creek are becoming more populated, a bit more crowded, people are seeing that they can still find a lot of great options for homes in Peachtree Corners, and they're not quite fighting the crowds as much. Another big part of that is that Alpharetta and Johns Creek are in Fulton County, but Peachtree Corners is in Gwinnett County. So very often people prefer the more culturally diverse county, or they prefer the schools in Gwinnett County. Or another very big one is that Gwinnett County has the senior tax exemption for the school portion of the property taxes. So as long as you are 65 or older in Gwinnett County here in Peachtree Corners, you don't have to pay for the school portion of the property taxes. This is a huge deal, as that's like half of the property taxes. I know when I look at my property tax bill and I see how much the school portion is, I'm like, oh wow, that's like a very big part of the property taxes. So to not have to pay for that part of your property taxes, you know, you're talking about a property tax bill for a typical 2,500, 3,000 square foot home, you know, maybe $500,000 or $600,000. You're looking at a property tax bill of like $2,500 per year. And then in general, it's possible that the cost of living is probably lower in Gwinnett County than in Fulton County. Very similar. It's a very small difference, but because Fulton County is like the main county in Georgia, Fulton County has the city of Atlanta, and so in general, I would say the cost of living is probably highest in Fulton, and so a little bit lower in Gwinnett. So for that reason, people also choose this Gwinnett County over Fulton County. And then reason number 4 why so many people are moving here is that it's not very far from the city of Atlanta. It's closer to like Midtown Atlanta than Alpharetta Marietta or Milton or Cumming, even Johns Creek. And so that distance to Atlanta is also a big perk, especially if you are living in Peachtree Corners and working in Atlanta. The more that you can minimize that distance and that commute time and that traffic time is certainly a big benefit. You want to try to not be in traffic as much as possible. And the main place where you find traffic here in Metro Atlanta is those interstate systems from the suburbs to the city of Atlanta, especially during rush hour traffic. From Johns Creek to Midtown might be something like an hour and a half during rush hour, but from Peachtree Corners, you're looking at something more like 45 minutes to an hour. And again, this is during rush hour. If you can avoid that rush hour, you may be looking at something more like 30 minutes to 45 minutes from Peachtree Corners to Atlanta. In addition to that, things are closer together in Peachtree Corners than they are like if you choose a suburb that's super far out, like Cumming or, I don't know, Canton or any of these cities that are farther away from the city of Atlanta. Things really start to get more country there, more quiet living. And so a lot of people are looking for that quiet living. They want to be super far from all of the things and the neighbors, and they want that peace and privacy. But what also comes with that is that you are far from getting to the grocery store or dropping the kids off at school, or, everything is much more spread out in those suburbs that are farther away from Atlanta. But Peachtree Corners is much more developed, and so things are much closer. You don't have to drive 15 minutes to a grocery store. You can get to a grocery store in 5 minutes. And so everything is a lot closer. Not only the city of Atlanta, but even if you're like doing daily errands, all of these things are much more conveniently located. Reason number 5 why everybody is living here is the amount of parks and green space that you have in this city. One of my favorites is Jones Bridge Park. This is right along the Chattahoochee River, and from the center of Peachtree Corners, it's about a 5 to 10 minute drive. So very easy to get to this park. And the Chattahoochee River provides lots of outdoor recreation, lots of people hiking around the Chattahoochee, also fishing. You can take your kayaks out there on the Chattahoochee. And then the park in general is like a typical park, lots of kids playing out there, a big playground also at Jones Bridge Park. And so definitely lots of outdoor recreation activities in Peachtree Corners. Reason number 6 is actually a very big reason why a lot of people are moving here. The city, Peachtree Corners, was founded in 2012. And so for the most part, many things here in Peachtree Corners are a bit newer than other cities. There are much older cities here in Metro Atlanta. For example, neighboring Norcross or Marietta or, I don't know, Canton. All of these cities were established 100 years ago, I don't know, something like that. About 100 years ago, they really were established from the railroad that went through those cities. And so a lot of things, a lot of the feel, the vibe, the commercial areas, the public areas in those older cities still has that old feel to it, that old vibe. And so Peachtree Corners, being a much more recently established city, has much more of a modern feel to it. A lot of the public areas and the commercial areas have more of a modern feel. As for the homes, those homes were still established a long time ago, or were built a long time ago. So you do have some older 60s and 70s homes in Peachtree Corners, but you also have some new construction there as well. But in general, the feel of the city is much newer than some of the neighboring older cities. And another big part of that is the infrastructure. This is a really big issue here in Georgia, especially in the older cities. The infrastructure, the roads, the power lines, the internet, these kinds of things are very dated in some of the suburbs around Atlanta. But because Peachtree Corners is much newer, you see that a lot of the infrastructure here is much newer as well. And the city does a great job of putting money into those things. And so this is a really big part of why so many people move to Peachtree Corners. And then reason number 7 why so many people move here is the community, the people, the lifestyle. And really the best way to get a good feel for that is to come and visit. But of course, if you live super far, that can be difficult. So I've made an entire video where I went on a tour of the downtown area. We just walked right through downtown, and to kind of get a good feel for what the people are like there and what the downtown area is like. If you'd like to check out that video, you can see it right here. I'll see you in the next one.